Joining us now to talk more is General President of the International Association of Firefighters, Edward Kelly. Great to have you with us.
How you doing, Anna?
I really appreciate you being here. Now, you, along with the mayor there, LaToya Cantrell, met yesterday with all the firefighters who responded to the New Year's terrorist attack, and you heard directly from them about their experiences. What did they tell you?
Well, first off, they want to make sure the families of the people that were murdered, 14 families of those that were murdered the other night, our thoughts, our prayers are with them. And they showed up with the purest of hearts and the purest of intentions, with all the training and skills and courage that they could muster in order to save lives. And they saved everyone that they could. We're very proud of those firefighters. We're very proud of those paramedics. We're very proud of our brothers and sisters in law enforcement who neutralized that terrorist as soon as they could. They're true heroes as well.
Yeah, and Jabbar, he steered around that police blockade that was up there in your city to carry out the attack. In video that we'd seen, and we saw this black flag flying, and we've now been told that was an ISIS flag on the back of the truck. His terror ultimately ending with that shootout with police. Authorities, are you happy with the way that they responded? Do you think there's any chance they could have acted any quicker?
Well, every time we respond to an incident, we want to do an after-action report. And as always, we can always learn. And when you're in the battle, when you're in the fight, when it's game time, you do your best with the training and the equipment and the personnel that you have. But as I've never been to a fire where I came back and said, you know, if I had it to do over again, I would have done something different.
Yeah.
But as you can see, the French Quarter is right over my left shoulder here. And the firefighters in New Orleans and all across this country are ready to respond to anything that comes our way. You know, if you look at the 9/11 report, the first failure that they noted was the failure to imagine. And no matter what happens in this country, within 4 or 5 minutes, your firefighters are on scene, taking command and mitigating the risks that our citizens are imposed. So we're honored to be serving that role in society, and we want the public to know,
yes,
when it happens, we're going to be there for them.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that is something that they're happy to be hearing from you, because tensions have been so high there, so much angst following the attack. Jabbar posted 5 different videos on social media talking about his dreams about joining ISIS. He also talked about contemplating killing his own family after a divorce. What do you think needs to be done technologically to try to better detect these videos or manifestos?
Well, you hope with the technology that as it evolves, we can flag these people and intercept them before they affect any type of damage to good, hardworking, everyday Americans. And whatever it takes as a government and as a society, we need to do whatever it takes.
I want you to listen to what Louisiana's Lieutenant Governor said last night on News Nation, and I'll let you respond.
Unfortunately, the mayor dropped the ball. And not that you could ever prevent a crazy person from doing this, but it could have been minimal. It could have been less attractive. The fact that you could go on the website for the city and they posted that these barriers were out, what benefit to the public is that? That only benefits someone that's looking to do harm. You can't even find out on the website when they're going to fix the pothole in your street, but they would post this on the city website? That is unexcusable.
Yeah, and when somebody is looking to do something nefarious, they might try to find a sensitive spot, and he's saying, look, it's just kind of blinking when you put it out there like this. Do you think the New Orleans mayor, who you just met with yesterday, does she need to accept any blame for this, or is that taking it too far?
Well, I'm not going to assess blame to anybody with the exception of that terrorist and whoever inspired him. And as far as how the soft targets in these large populated areas are protected, you know, a lot of thought and effort goes into that. And as we learn from past experiences, as these attacks happen more and more frequently, we need to get better at protecting those soft targets.
How should officials prepare for potential copycats, considering the FBI's warning about potential terror threats, not just because of this ISIS-inspired attack that we saw there in New Orleans, but the Israel-Hamas war? Then we've got the upcoming inauguration of Donald Trump. What do you think needs to happen just nationwide, not just where you are in New Orleans? What can we learn from what we saw happen on New Year's Day?
Well, we all learn from each other. I happen to be a Boston firefighter. After the bombing in 2014, we learned that we needed to carry more tourniquets with us on every incident. especially around those large soft targets like the Boston Marathon or July 4th, or you get into New York where they had a ramming incident on the West Side Highway a couple of years ago. We had the Christmas attacks in Germany. We learned from these terrorist attacks all over the world on how we can do a better job of hardening those soft targets, those public places of assembly, et cetera, making sure that we're targeting any individuals, as you mentioned, using technology to decipher who they are and go right after them, and making sure that we in the first responder community are as prepared as we can be to come in, like I said, we're there in usually those soft targets are on site when it happens, like happened on Bourbon Street the other night. And we want to make sure that when we respond to them, we have the resources available. One thing we need to do is look at more of a national strategy on something that's larger than just a singular bad actor that inflicts this type of damage. What if it's a more broader attack? Are we prepared to respond nationally with the resources that we have? And I know we can do better. The federal government needs a better response plan for firefighters that can back up those municipalities that would be caught up in those attacks. And we need to make sure that going forward, and I've spoken with President-elect Trump on this, and he's honed into it. He knows that we can do a better job.
Well, we do want to prevent any further carnage, but that's not going to bring back these 14 people who lost their lives and the families who are waking up in 2025 without them and having to figure out how to piece their lives together and move forward. Let's take a listen to the brother of one of the victims, 27-year-old Tiger Beck, about how he's feeling right now.
My sister's fiance kept calling me, and I didn't answer the first call, and he called me again, and I answered it. And he just told me that there had been a terrorist attack in New Orleans, or there had been an attack in New Orleans because I didn't know what it was yet, and that my brother and his best friend were involved. Yesterday was the hardest day of my life, and now each day on will be the hardest day of my life, just living there knowing I can't speak to him ever again.
What answers do you think officials can still find for grieving family members like you just heard from?
All we can do is take solace in the fact that we are all in this together. We're all Americans. We all believe in the freedom that came with being a citizen in this country. And that was fought for and earned. And we have to be able and ready and willing to stand up and fight for that freedom going forward. We need to harness the sorrow and the loss from a tragedy such as this and turn that into the fighting spirit of the American.
Yeah. General President of the International Association of Firefighters, Edward Kelly, we appreciate you coming in. Thank you for your service, and so sorry to hear what's happening in your community. Godspeed to you guys.
Thank you, and God bless America.